Hi, Stories Channel here.
And today we're covering a 2020 thriller movie called Let It Snow. The movie flips off at a wonderful ski resort in Republic of Georgia in the year 2017. A man's voiceover states that 3 years ago was his last happy Christmas, and the movie then shifts to a never-ending snowfield where a young girl gets knocked down by a snowboarder. The guy gets up and leaves the little girl to die in the freezing snow of the Black Ridge Mountain. 3 years later, a couple drives along the mountainous road towards the snow-capped mountains. After traveling across the winding roads, they reach the hotel where the woman gives the reference of the Shining movie and jokes that she doesn't want to end up like that. With that, they carry on their jests inside, where a creepy-looking receptionist greets them. The guy, named Max Spellman, checks in with his reservation of the Georgia Ski Hotel while stating that they're planning to go to the Black Ridge. A strange shadow looms over the receptionist's face as she hears the name and suddenly advises them not to go there due to certain unknown dangers and unnatural deaths that occur there. Max reassures them that they're experts and will want the helicopter to take them at the summit. In the meantime, his girlfriend observes a painting of Mary and Jesus in the hallway. After getting the pass, they proceed to their first-class hotel room. Max grabs a beer bottle from the fridge as his girlfriend, Mia, smokes a cigarette at the balcony while indulging in the breathtaking view of the mountains. After a while, Max comes out and throws away her cigarette and they proceed to talk about the gloriousness of the space. The night falls in and after a bath, Mia walks to the bed where they drop into the deep crevices of romance, and during their love, Max asks what she would do if he asked her to marry him. Mia laughs it off and they sleep. Late at night, she's about to get out of the apartment for a walk when suddenly she faces the receptionist right outside the door. She hands Mia a wine bottle as a gift and requests her to reconsider their quest of the Black Ridge as a man with a family died there recently. Mia is shaken by her sudden appearance and eeriness, and asks her to leave, but before going, the receptionist puts a cross on their door. Mia senses the absurdity and wakes up her boyfriend, but as he checks, the door is clean. The following morning, as they're preparing, Mia finds a ring in Max's bag. Her face beams with happiness and they leave the room in their snowboarding kit. At the reception, the woman gives them a grave look as they leave. In the meantime, the emergency rescuers take out a corpse of a free rider who died on the Black Ridge. His wife starts crying and is taken away while Max and Mia catch his glimpse. Mia gets suspicious about the adventure, but Max reassures her that it's nothing. With that, they reach up the mountain where the helicopter is waiting for them. The pilot also warns them about the Black Ridge and Mia's suspicions are fortified now, but Max is still stubborn about going to the top. Nevertheless, Max bribes the pilot and they fly up the Black Ridge. On their way, Mia notices a black cross planted in the snow, and the pilot then shares the story of the girl who was killed by 2 free riders. That cross is her commemoration, and free riders, just like them, also die there now. Max laughs it off and they finally get dropped at the summit. After reaching the highest peak, they drop their boards and start gliding through the snow. The couple enjoy their ride to the most as their boards break the snow in a harmonious stream. After a while, Mia stays back to snap some pictures while Max proceeds down to the valley. But as the moments pass, dense fog starts to surround Mia. As she tries to contact Max, a snowmobile rider appears behind her and knocks her down in the snow. After the blackout, she finds herself sprawled on all fours. After much effort, she gets up and tries to contact Max by every means possible, but no connection is made. Nevertheless, she starts walking in the endless snowfield trying to catch a signal while sweet memories of herself with Max replay in her mind as he discusses that he will take her to Georgia for a wonderful trip. Presently, Mia walks amidst the knee-deep snow until she comes across a silhouette in the distance. Relief appears on her face as she watches Max at some distance, but surprisingly, she walks on a trackside layered by fresh rose flowers. That raises suspicion in her mind as she senses that Max isn't talking or answering her as well. Suddenly, she witnesses the snowmobile rider dragging her boyfriend away. Mia runs after him crying for help, but they disappear into the fog. Helpless and not knowing where to go, Mia tumbles in the snow until she notices the rider at the horizon. The person cladded in all black lifts up a trigger and clicks it. In a single tick, a blast erupts an avalanche at the mountain top. Mia shudders with fear and starts her descent via snowboard, but ultimately gets caught up in the oncoming snowstorm. Fortunately, she survives, but as she tries to get out, a spike plunges beside her time and again. One swipe injures her arm and it starts to bleed while we witness the Black Rider outside trying to murder her. In the meantime, the scenario flashes back into the past where Mia shares a dream with Max consisting of their daughter. Presently, Mia manages to thrust out one bloodied hand and she gets pulled out by someone. A man can then be seen dragging her away, and the scene shifts into a hut where the guy takes out a knife and approaches Mia. But instead of harming her, the old guy tends to her wounds. Suddenly Mia notices the same painting of Mary and Jesus from the hotel, placed in his hut. The old guy speaks in his native language, asking her the reason for being here in the disastrous weather and the doomed place. Moreover, he states that it's too dangerous even for them to get out at this time. In the interim, the film flips to the Georgia hotel where the receptionist calls someone and states that she's not helping anymore. It's not the tourists' fault and Dad feels the same way, that it is too much now and it needs to stop. Back at the hut, the old man shows Mia a picture of his granddaughter as they sit by the fire. He states that she died 3 years ago on Christmas and then proceeds to play a song that was sung by her. Tears flood his eyes as the girl's melodious voice sings, "Let It Snow." Later, the old man talks to himself that it must end now and that he will help Mia. The next morning, Mia wakes up to find the hut totally empty. She walks outside and finds a quad bike. Suddenly, her eyes locate Max's glove in the snow. She picks it up and realizes that he's in danger. She immediately runs inside to gather the supplies, and upon coming back she faces the Black Rider once again, who has apparently taken out the quad bike's key. After flashing the key in front of her, the rider drives away in the snow. In the interim, we see the rescuers putting up wooden posts with stop signs while Mia limps across the snowy field. She keeps walking for countless hours until she drops unconscious. Meanwhile, the search party dispatches and states that nobody's here to be found. Just then, Mia regains her senses and tries to call out for help, but the rescue party leaves her heaving in the snow. Distressed and destitute, Mia sways to a tunnel where she witnesses baby dolls impaled by spikes. Moreover, one of them has the other glove from Max's hand. Slowly, she moves inside to find the tunnel vandalized by black crosses. Further at the end, she finds the old man in a miserable state, tied by the ropes. His mouth bleeds as he advises Mia to run away instantly. One look back, and she witnesses the Black Rider standing behind her. With that, Mia's on the run again while we hear the old man's voice saying that he tried to stop it but his loved one went crazy. Later, Mia wakes up in the snow and tries to contact Max. Surprisingly, a connection forms up, but suddenly, the girl's "Let It Snow" starts playing in the background. That freaks Mia out, but she collects herself and reassures Max that she's coming to save him. Gathering all her remaining strength, Mia staggers on her journey again. Along the way, her vision starts to blur as she uses the snow to get some water down her throat. Amidst the blurred sight, Mia notices the engagement ring appear on her finger and the flashback where Max asked her to marry him. Alas, it doesn't last and she continues ahead but comes face to face with the Black Rider again. This time, the person chases her with an axe and she runs blindly until she tips over the edge and falls deep down the abyss and everything blacks out. Time passes and as her vision clears up, she witnesses the face of her boyfriend in front of her. Suddenly, she wakes up to find herself safe and alive on the boulder. Beside her, a magnificent waterfall flows in all of its glory. Mia manages to get up, drink the water and wash her face. Afterwards, she continues her path besides the flowing creek. At one point, she has to cross the freezing water to get to the other side, and just as she gets out, the Black Rider appears on the other side of the creek. They both stare at each other and Mia cries out in exasperation. Her shouts echo through the mountains as the killer stares at her silently. After a while, the rider silently turns back and leaves. With a sigh of relief, Mia proceeds with her quest and stops at a place to grab a bite from the frozen food. Later she continues to a place where she lights up the fire and sleeps beside it. The movie then shows us a recollection where Mia expresses her wishes to have a baby and start a family. Back at the base of Black Ridge, Mia wakes up beside the extinguished fire and tries to contact Max once again but receives no response at all. Slowly, she gets up and tumbles once again. With the energy totally drained out, Mia limps in the snow while all her life's moments flash before her eyes, including the time when Max disappeared. Alas, she notices somebody in the distance. She hobbles towards the edge of the mountain to find a snowman. Not just a normal snowman, but a dead person inside it. One look at his extended hand, and we see him holding the engagement ring that Mia found in Max's bag. She slowly takes it out and puts it in her ring finger. A painful smile appears on her face as she hugs the snowman and nostalgic moments spring up in her mind. As she talks to her dead boyfriend, the Black Rider appears behind her. Without wasting any other moment, Mia holds Max in her arms and we see them topple over the edge of the mountain, hundreds of feet below. The rider drives to the edge and watches the canyon drop. The rider then drives to the cross which states, Katie Gagidze, 2006 to 2017. We miss you. The movie now flips back to 2017 as Katie's loved ones observe the aftermath. Her mother cries hysterically at her death while we see her grandfather and the receptionist, who's Katie's aunt, standing beside her dead body. The three of them mourn over the unfortunate demise of the innocent girl, and now we see the rider taking off the helmet, and it is actually Katie's mother underneath. The old guy's voice dictates that blood feud is part of their traditions and nothing is worse than the revenge of a heartbroken mother. With that, Katie's mother carves 2 more crosses in the wooden base, and in the final moments, we see Katie's video of singing "Let It Snow" merrily on a Christmas day, while her mother and everyone around her cheers her up. In a twist of events, the camera pans down the mountain and we witness that Mia is not dead. Wretched and devastated, she wakes up and finds herself alive. With anguish boiling inside her, she shrieks out furiously and the movie fades out as a closure. Thanks for watching, guys.